So what's up, everyone? It is your girl Gel Beauty 87 here, aka Grace, and today we're gonna get into a battle of the. So when I initially bought the Mikayla palette, I knew it reminded me of another palette, and then I was like, it reminds me of my LA Girl Backstage Main Stage Desert Dream collection palette. This was their spring collection, if I remember correctly, because their summer collection is the Hey Hey Vacay. But as you can see, this has a lot of the tones that's in the Mikayla palette. It is literally a blue, green, and purple palette, like I said, with a little bit of pink mixed in. So I thought it'd be fun to see if we could recreate a look for Mikayla's palette with the same, with some of the same tones in that. So what I'm gonna do is, like I normally do, I go through the palettes and then I do one eye off camera. Of course, it's going to be the Mikayla eye off camera because, of course, you're going to see how the $7 one performs up against something like this. And I didn't want to take too long by doing both eyes on camera. So I'm going to go off camera, swatch through here, swatch through there, see which colors are looking similar to each other enough to do an eye look. Then I'm going to come back and we'll do an eye look together. The only thing is, it seems like this one has a lot of mid-tone shades, whereas I feel like this one has a better gradient when it comes to the shades. So that's my issue with finding one. And plus, like, the shimmers in here are the ones that are usually, you know, not the same. So I'm gonna swatch, see how it goes, see how we can do. I feel like it's a good alternative, though, if you just don't have the money for the Mikayla palette and don't want to wait. Because their formula is fire too. Don't get it twisted. I mean, mattes aren't going to be as good as Glamlite. However, I feel like they have really nice shimmers with drugstore. Like, their shimmers are amazing. So let me go off camera and pick out some colors, swatch on the back of my hand, and then come back with a look. Okay, girl? So here's the eye we have, y'all, from the Mikayla palette. These are the swatches of the comparisons. I didn't use the black. I just wanted to swatch it to let you all see. So all the swatches you see first are from Mikayla's palette, and then the second one is from the LA Girl. So I actually swatched the purple in there, and as you can see, it pulls much darker when you swatch it out as opposed to it looks in the pan. So it's kind of like the Ice Cream Dream palette in that regard. And as you can see, the greens don't look the same because Mikayla's is more shimmery, whereas the LA Girl ones are always more metallic. Those are things I have noticed. But the mint colors look exactly the same to me. And the inner corner colors look pretty close, so I'm liking that. But the rest of it, everything just pulls deeper than it looks, so just keep that in mind. Let's get started. So I'm going to take this shade right here. That's what I have on the outer, that's this first swatch you saw. Then this one is the one we're going to put in the crease. This is the one that I have on the brow bone, that we're going to use for the brow bone. This is the one we're going to use on the lid. And then this one right here was the one we're going to use on the inner corner. So just want you to have an idea of what's going on before I start. But y'all, I was so pissed. I was like filming a video of a battle of love for the foundation that I put in another video that I was telling y'all about. Looks like similar to another expensive, like, luxury foundation. And the luxury foundation is on sale right now, so I wanted you all to see. And if you like the way it looked, then you know that was cool. And we could and you could buy it during the Sephora 20% off sale because the brand is only sold at Sephora. Y'all, the video, the car, you know how it just randomly stops if you film YouTube videos, and you know, like, sometimes it just randomly stop and say like an error, and like all of what you was filming doesn't get saved and it just goes away. So I was pissed because it's like I had literally just got done filming the whole foundation portion and all that, and I already started my other review for the Rim Beauty stuff. So I'm like, I'm not about to, you know, can you focus on me, please? Thank you. I'm like, I'm not about to, like, not take all this face off just to start this over again just to film this portion of the video. So I'm like, now I gotta refilm that part. And then I was doing another battle of love with that battle of love. So now I'm just like, now I gotta with this whole thing to start over again. So as you can see, the colors aren't exact. You can definitely tell this is more of a purple one, but I feel like they had the same type of they were the closest ones in the palette that I had deep enough, because my problem with LA Girl is they don't ever have deep enough shades in their palette. I'm assuming that's why they always use the black, but it's like, if I don't want to use the black, then what am I supposed to do? Because I don't want to use the black. So now what do we do? Next, I'm going to take the mint shade. I'm going to pop that up here. So as you can see, they look pretty similar in the pan. However, I'm feeling like now that I'm putting this one on, it is much lighter than the one on the Mikayla side. But as y'all saw swatched, they looked even and fine. But now it wants to be too light. I don't know what's going on with that. I don't know if it has something to do with the highlighter that I put over there as well that's making it lighter. But see, because down here in this area looks like they're the same. But up there, it just looks lighter. I don't know what's going on with that, but that's a whole, you know, annoying thing. Like, you really want the palettes with the Season Color Stories video for sure, because we clearly saw it swatch on my hand and they matched perfectly, but now all of a sudden you 3 shades lighter. Like, what is going on? I'm taking a clean Sigma tapered blending brush. That's what this is, right? Yeah, tapered blending brush. This is the Max one, so this is the Max E40. Now I'm going to crease with that mauve-ish pink shade, because this one has a row of pinks in it, and remember the Mikayla one doesn't. It's just blue, green, and purple. So again, I feel like the looks are looking pretty similar, but I can see the subtle differences. I feel like obviously you can too. So just bear that in mind. But again, this is just supposed to be more of a, it's, you know, more full up at the end of the day. And you know, you might feel like Tina the Fancy Face. She was talking about how she looked up Mikayla and how she had a whole bunch of Jeffree Star stuff posted. And if you're not a Jeffree Star fan, you might not want to support her knowing that. I didn't know that until after I had already bought the collection, because I might have not necessarily bought it, but you know, it's like a do you type thing. And it's easier usually for other people to buy stuff from people when they're not the group that they're affected. Because I noticed how a lot of people like they not offered Juby's place and all that once it actually affected them and their community. But you know, when stuff doesn't affect people's communities, they have a tendency not to be concerned. And I'm gonna just leave that there. So that's what we got going on with that. Now let's go ahead and put this metallic on the lid. So that metallic green. These shadows are so crumbly and break so easily. I just. I still haven't seen Nope yet now, and I'm upset because I've been wanting to see it for like a couple of weeks. But I'm going to try to take Adrian with me and maybe his little friend for one last hoorah. But since his birthday is coming up soon, I'm thinking I'll just wait and I'll go one day this week while he's gone with his dad, and then next week he can the next time I get paid, I think will be his birthday, and I can ask his friend mom if he could spend the night or whatever, and then you know, he and Adrian can go out and do something. So I'm like, we'll see. I feel like they look similar. They don't look exact, but they're looking quite similar. So let's go ahead and finish off with the last shade for the inner corner, and then we'll talk about my thoughts. I think I'm gonna just run both the blue shades on the lower lash line after I get off the camera with you all, just so I can have something underneath there to match it out. Yeah, that sounds like a good idea. We're gonna do that. So we have finished both the eye looks. Let's back it up and have a nice cute discussion about what we think about each eye look and which one wins. So again, Mikayla eye and link eye. So my thoughts on both these palettes. I think both palettes work good. It's just, I guess, depending on what level of pigmentation and color story you prefer, which one you should pick. I know lots of people don't like big palettes. That's another reason I wanted to introduce the LA Girl palette into the discussion, because you might not necessarily want this huge ass palette that's like, you know, the size of my head. Essentially, it is literally the size of my head. You might not want that. So if you don't want that, I feel like this is a good alternative for you. Now just keep in mind the shimmers in here are really sensitive. I've had to press the shade back several times because it broke on me a couple of times, which I wasn't feeling. But they do have good quality shadows. Now obviously their mattes aren't going to be as pigmented or as blendable as the Glamlite ones, so just keep that in mind. They're perfectly fine. They work just fine, so I'm not trying to shade them. I'm just saying, because Glamlite costs more, obviously you're expecting to get more, and you are going to get more from them than you're going to get from this palette. However, the mattes in here work fine. They're just going to have to be built up a little bit more than Mikayla's does, because it's more pigmented. The shimmers in here are amazing. Like, if you like that metallic buttery shimmer on the lid, you will definitely like these. The downside to this one though is they never put deep enough shades in LA Girl palettes, in my personal opinion. That's why they always have a black in here, because they don't ever put a deep enough shade for you to start off with deepening the outer V with. So you'll have to keep that in mind with this palette. Whereas Mikayla is giving you a more monochromatic situation and more colors to choose from. But since this palette is small, I think they did a good job with the color story. And I like it just fine. It was one of my favorite palettes to use. You already liked when I did the video on this palette initially. So I think it's a great palette and I would definitely recommend you try it. However, if you want the Mikayla palette, I can understand you getting it, because you are going to be able to get more monochromatic looks with the Mikayla palette because it is bigger. Like you got your rose of blues, you got your rose of purples, you got a couple of different tones of greens, and you got a little neutral moment here. If you didn't want to buy the small one separately, you can use these two roses like that little neutral moment, and then just have your blue, green, and purple moment as a whole with the giant palette. So if I had to choose, I feel like I'm liking the mattes in this one a whole lot better. And I like the metallics in here, because if you don't want a necessarily sparkly look on the lid like I have going on right here, even though it's not super sparkly, you can have this nice, simple, kind of toned down metallic look if you're not a person who uses color that often or are kind of intimidated for it. Plus, like, there is fallout in the Mikayla palette on your face. That's another thing you need to keep in mind. I feel like with the LA Girl one, I don't get fallout with it like I do with the Mikayla one. So those are just things to think about. As far as I'm concerned, I like the Glamlite one more just because it gives me more variety with colors, and she gave you those deeper tones to monochromatically make better looks. So that's why I would choose it. But like I said, I wanted to give you all the alternative to this one and see that you can make a somewhat similar look to this one, and both of them look pretty fine. It's just I had to build up the pigmentation on this one more. If you don't mind building up the pigmentation, if you're a person who likes more neutral shadows as a general rule, you would probably prefer the main stage one, because it's like you have those colors in your collection and I have to spend the high price point that comes from Mikayla's palette, but you can still get the same colors or a similar look on the eyes. So those are my thoughts on both the palettes. I just want to share that with you, and I hope you all enjoyed this video. Remember, you all are diamonds. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Be blessed, girl. Bye.